If you are watching these videos in order, this is the 10th one, and so far everything we've done has been in one channel, the general channel. You can see I've added a few more channels here, and two of them have locks next to them and two of them do not. So when you add a new channel, by default they are available to everyone in the team to see, but you can now make private channels as well. So the history of Teams is it was originally designed for businesses, and it was designed for communication, collaboration, and transparency. So you might have a company-wide team, but a channel for everyone to see, the general channel, another channel for marketing, another channel for sales, another channel for engineering, but everybody could see each other's channels. If you had some things that you needed to be private just among marketing, you could make a separate team for marketing, but the company-wide channel was designed for people to be able to see what's going on throughout the organization. So when Teams came to education, that was the state of Teams, but teachers immediately thought, I'd love to be able to do small group work. I'd love to be able to have small groups for projects, so I need private channels for that. And the nice thing about the private channels is they're permanent. They persevere. For example, in Google Classroom, if I want to send something just to 4 students in my class, and then a week later I want to send something to those 4 students, I have to select who's going to receive that each and every time. Here in Teams, you can make a private channel that lasts, so that can be an ongoing place to just send things to those students. Now, that might not sound like a big deal if you're only thinking about Teams channels for small group work, but consider that you can, as a student, you can be a member of many different channels. So I could have a channel for students with certain learning preferences. I could have a channel for students with certain accommodations. So those are the kinds of situations where you might want an ongoing channel that you'll refer back to from time to time. I will say kind of upfront here that once you make other channels, you do have to think through your workflow and where you're going to place things, because in the general channel, everybody sees this. General channel comes with posts for our conversations and communications, its own file area, and since this is a class team, it has its own class notebook. The general channel is also the only place you can make assignments or grades. If I go into another channel, every additional channel gets its own conversation area, its own posts tab. It gets its own file storage area. It gets its own OneNote notebook. You can add other tabs as well, but again, grades is not one of them, and assignments is not one of them. So some of those things, it's already answered for you. If you're doing an assignment, it has to be here. Now, if I make an assignment in the general area, and I also have a section on Unit 1, Unit 2, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, if you're going to do something topical over here, you can always add a link to that assignment. You can always post that assignment here, but it resides here in the general channel. So you can make additional doorways to it, additional ways to access it, but it still always sort of abides. This is where it lives. All right, so again, how do you make a new channel? Just click on the ellipses next to the team name and click on Add Channel and give it a name. An optional description, and again, standard is everybody on the team can see it. Now, the automatically show this in everyone's list. If I don't choose that, and then let's add a couple like that. Do one more. It's not private, but there we go. Now, I created these so they show up in mine, but what happens is if they don't show up in everyone's, then you end up with a list of hidden channels. Now, hidden doesn't mean they can't get to it. It just means they will have a spot here that says hidden channels. And they can click on there, see what those hidden channels are, and they can choose to make them show. The idea here is that if I have 12 different channels in this team, maybe I don't want to see them all here all the time. So we leave them hidden, and that way I don't have to see that entire list. I can just leave the ones that I use most often showing, and I can unhide the other ones when I need to. be able to get to those. So that's the only thing that show to everyone or not show to everyone does. If I choose to automatically show it, then it's going to appear here rather than here for them. Now for the private channel, let's call this group 3. Notice that once I make it private, that option goes away because only people who are in the group are going to see it. And when we made our team, you had a few different ways to add people to the teams, including a code. Well, it doesn't really make sense if I want this to be a private channel to have a code to share that people can join themselves. And the whole idea here is you are deciding who goes into it. And ideally, it should be a smaller group. So with a private team channel, you actually have to type in names or student ID numbers. And I find it works best if you do last name, comma, first name, or again, the student ID number. And I'm not going to type any of those in because of student privacy. All right, so that's how you create channels. And hopefully we've given you some ideas on why you would create channels. Again, just that last thought, once you create them, you do have to kind of come up with a decision about whether things will be posted in the general channel or in the topic, or the way I've tended to do it is I create it in the general channel and then add the links here. So everything is here. But if I know what unit we're in, or I want to just see things that are relevant to our current unit, then as a teacher, I'll add links in here as well to make it easier for students to find now and when it comes time to review.